Hey gang, I hope you're well. I'm not. I've got a nasty cold. Our kids have just been off for half term, so I think we're just a germ factory in our house at the moment. So yeah, that's been going on. Our son's just turned 5, so we just had a little party for him and loads of family around and stuff. So that's kind of delayed this next instalment of the Tools You Need to Own series. So this one is titled Turning. So for the most part, everything we do on bikes is to do with tightening or loosening or adjusting things, and we use a lot of different tools to do that. We have Allen keys, spanners, screwdrivers, and a few other bits and pieces in between. As I explained in the introduction, I want to do this for the person who just wants to adjust their handlebar position or change their brake pads. They're going to rely on a shop to do most things for them, which is fine. But yeah, maybe they need to have something in their bag just to get them out of trouble, or just to tweak things that you can do yourself. You don't have to traipse all the way into town to go to your local bike shop just to get them to give something a tweak. So that's one end of it, and then the other end is the person who wants to do everything themselves. They don't want to rely on a bike shop. They want to learn. They want to, well, I mean, they've got time probably, time to collect all of this stuff up, learn the information, and you want things that you can invest in. You want things to last. You want things that are going to do the most professional job that you can. So again, in my introduction, I said I've got a lot of experience working in bike shops. I've been doing it for 15 years, and I do quite a bit of DIY around our house, a little bit of plumbing and carpentry and other odds and sods like that. Nowhere near to a professional level, but I have quite a bit of experience. So hopefully I can share that with you, give you a few kind of, not tips and tricks, but a bit of an insight into what you may or may not need. What would be overkill, what would be underkill. What's the phrase, taking a gun to a knife fight, or is it a knife to a gun fight? So let's have a look at these first batch of tools, which, as I've explained, are all turning. So let's see how we get on. This video is taking me a long time. I think I've done 4 different versions of the dialogue. I just haven't been happy with any of them so far, so hopefully this will be the one. And some of it I think is down to the fact that there's not much to look at, but there kind of is, but there kind of isn't. And I want it to be interesting for you guys to watch, but also informative. And I think some of it, I was just talking with my hands away from the camera, and yeah, you're just looking at this bench that's just got this stuff on it. So hopefully I've come up with a few ideas that will make it a little bit more engaging, but still give you the bones of what you need to know. So in no particular order, I've got a number of things laid out here. So we've got spanner or a wrench, depending on which part of the world you're from, an adjustable spanner or a crescent wrench, infamous Knipex supply wrenches, a PB Swiss T-handle Allen key, some Park Allen keys or hex keys, a snap-on Torx, a couple of multi-tools, snap-on ratchet, sockets, and a couple of different screwdrivers there. So I think this probably encompasses most of the turning things that you're going to be using on a every job is going to need something tightening or loosening, and these are the ones that do it the most. I mean, bigger spectrum of things. Let's just bring the camera around, it's going to be a bit shaky. We've got all the cone wrenches just up here. You'll be using those for hub bearing adjustments, and some of them you need for suspension as well. But I mean, they are wrenches, they are spanners. We can talk about that more if you guys want a bit more information. And then within sockets, we've got all of the different hex ones, Torx ones, and then in that category as well, you've got bottom bracket ones. And we're going to come back to that So in another kind of segment, which will be revealed at some point soon. So yeah, if we're where did I begin? I began on my kitchen floor at my mum and dad's house on my first kind of proper hardtail mountain bike, like a basic Diamondback, or yeah, it's Diamondback, and I put a new drivetrain on it because I thought, how hard can it be? Which I think a lot of men probably do. And as a result, I found that it is quite hard. You can't just chuck it on. It needs a lot of specific tools and a lot of knowledge. But I managed to kind of give it a good go, and then the guys in my local bike shop in Bournemouth, they were very decent, and I took the bike in once I'd half fitted everything up, and they checked it all over. And that was the start of it. I realised if I worked in a bike shop, I could use the bike shop tools. I wouldn't have to buy my own, and everything went from there. So I think I said to begin with that maybe you just want a small couple of bits and pieces, just to switch a stem out, to roll your handlebars back, change your brake lever position. Maybe you hit a tree and your brake lever twists out, you want to move it. You're going on a trip somewhere, you need to flatten your bike down to put it into a bike bag or a bike box, or to sell it or something. So I think, yeah, with that, you're probably not going to be straining on the tools too much. And I would probably point you in the direction of a multi-tool. So we've got this one here from Park, and this one from Park as well. And Park and Snap-on do a thing where anything that is green is Torx. So Torx is your star-shaped key. You see that just there. We'll come to that in a minute in a bit more detail. And then anything blue is Allen key or hex key. I'm going to try and keep referring to them as hex keys so we don't get confused. So yeah, hex keys or Allen keys and Torx keys. And so these guys, I believe Park get Bonders to make the actual keys, the actual tools for these. And they last God knows how long. I mean, this predates me working in a bike shop, or having my own bike shop, sorry, which is when I bought a lot of my tools. And this one goes from 1.5 to 6 mil, and I think they do a 3 to 10 mil. So most new bikes, modern bikes, will be predominantly hex. And yeah, for tinkering, I would say this is probably the best thing to start. Maybe if you looked at the next size up that's got the 8 mil on it, a lot of crank arms and crank bolts are 8 mil. So maybe to have that all encompassed in there, that can work really well. And then this one is the same thing, but with Torx, and that goes from T9, T8, T8, right up to T40. And SRAM tend to use quite a few Torx keys on their fixings for their mechs, and then you find it on a few stem manufacturers as well, finishing kit. So yeah, if you have both of those, they're going to come to under 30 quid for the set. All of Park Tool stuff is lifetime warranted. It's going to last forever and a day if you're just tweaking things. They're small enough that if you are going on a big trip somewhere, overseas, even in this country, a couple of days bike packing or what have you, this is going to be a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient to use than a multi-tool that's got a screwdriver and a chain tool and stuff on it. It takes up a little bit more space, but it's far more practical, far easier to use. And the only thing that happens with them over time, and yeah, if you've worked in a bike shop or borrowed these off people, like the worst thing is the floppy keys, and it pisses me off no end, because this bolt unthreads if it works itself loose, and you go to select key and they're just flapping around all over the place. It's just ridiculous. So the only maintenance these need, well, for my sanity, if not yours, is just 4mm hex in the end there, and just tighten that up ever so slightly, and as the plastic wears and stretches, you can accommodate for that and just get it nipped up a little bit so the key stays out, none of the others fall out. Yeah, job's good. So yeah, that is you know, a toolbox in a very small space, I would say. Benefit of these is that they don't cost as much as a set of individual keys. They take up less space, so if you haven't got a workshop or you're not using them all the time, this can sit in your kitchen drawer, in your riding pack, or you know, in your shoebox or something, and it's just there for when you need it. And then it doubles up because a lot of IKEA furniture will use hex fittings. So yeah, if you've got things in your house you need to tweak, this will do the job as well. And then I would say probably you're going to be after a wrench perhaps, or a spanner. On a lot of bikes now, for tinkering and bits and pieces, you're probably not going to find spanner flats on too much stuff. The only exception is probably some wheel systems, like Hunt and Bitex. They both use end caps that have got spanner flats on them. I don't know if I've got one of those. Let's have a look. And you can, and some Bontrager stuff has them as well. There we go, look. And the axle just thread, the end caps tighten onto the axle that runs through the wheel, and they can work themselves loose. That's quite a common thing. And if you've got any play in the back end of a bike, it's always worth just checking if you've got the threaded end caps, that you can tighten them up. And the benefit with this, as an adjustable, again, it's not taking up as much space as a full set of spanners, and it's infinitely adjustable. You can use it for metric and imperial. With spanners, with adjustable wrenches, I really would try and spend a decent amount of money just so that you don't get that cheap looseness. These ones, this is a Baco. Baco are just hands down the nicest spanners. It's just got such a nice aesthetic to them. This is all ground and precise. You've got a scale on there, and I mean, you can just see there's a bit of marring to the teeth on this, or the jaws, and a little that's been burnt where I've held it against, been using it to hold something, I think. But this has been in my mobile toolbox for a long time when I was doing my mobile repair work, again for space reasons, space constraints, and then has been sitting in my shop for a long time. This is probably about 5 years old, and it's still super accurate. Closes right up there, and it will open up and do, yeah, got a nice snug fit on that. So yeah, an adjustable spanner, handy to have again around the house for like anything plumbing related, radiators and things like that. Step up from that, it's going to be these for sure. Like, adjustables have their uses, but for the most part it's these are going to be what I'd choose. They're a little bit more money. You're talking probably about £15–20 for a Baco spanner. These Nipex ply wrenches, they are going to be more like 50–60, I think. I will find Amazon affiliate links for all of these. So Amazon are obviously quite keen on pricing anyway. And then if you get them through my affiliate links, I get a little kickback as well. And anything that you can't get on Amazon, you can get from me. I should be able to hook you up with the accounts I have. So if you want to come to Brighton, come and grab something from me, just give me a shout. Or if you want me to post it out, I can do that as well. So I've gone into detail about these before, and I will do again. They're like a adjustable wrench, but just better. You can just, as much strength as you can put through that's as tight as those jaws will go. And you can see without something in there that they just close down a little bit more. So you know you're holding on to that. It's not going to slip out. And then on regular hex bolts, it does this really neat little thing where you can kind of ratchet it round So as you tighten it, which way are we going? That's loosening it, yeah. So we can just let the jaws of the pliers come off and then wrench them back down, which is pretty cool. In comparison with your backhoe, you've got to undo that and then tighten it back up again. A little less efficient, a little bit more clumsy. So that would be the minimum, I would think. The only thing that you would want to add to that is a screwdriver. A lot of derailleurs mainly use screws, or I should say screwdriver headed bolts. Nearly everything that I've come across in bikes is Phillips. Phillips is standard cross, like 4 sides or a cross. You get posi as well, which is more of a kind of building screw system. You find those in carpentry and what have you. I did this last time, didn't have a posi bit to hand. So if we have a look at this one, you can just see there's an extra little, is that one posi? Or is that Phillips? My eyes, guys, my eyes are getting so tired. Yeah, so got that last little spline in there, and you look at them and they look like they could do the same job, but they really can't. And what you find if you're using posi screwdrivers to adjust screws, as you tighten things up or try and loosen things that are stuck, this point, it's not the right shape to fit the screw, and it will skip out and it can damage the screw. And I've worked in so many bike shops where they've got posi drivers sat on the shelf, and people don't know, they don't realise, or they don't look because you're doing something quickly, and that's when the screw will just like spit the screwdriver out, and then yeah, you're shafted. You've got to try and get a rounded bolt out of a bike that was just coming in for a quick adjustment. So if you are just doing bikes, what I would do is just get yourself a flat bladed screwdriver, probably like a 4, something like that, 3.5, 4. Got the snap-on one here. You don't have to have snap-on. Just buy like decent. If you get cheap stuff, it is going to break. It is going to let you down. The more expensive stuff doesn't tend to. Out of all the screwdrivers, the Wurers are going to be my pick. You can buy them singularly. So if you are just doing bike stuff, you don't need to get a whole set. If you do, then you've got where I do insulated ones, they do Torx, they do flat blade, they do posi, they do hex, they do Phillips. So there is a set for you, or just buy them individually depending on what you fancy or what you need. The difference between them, the red and yellows are insulated, so they're safe for electrical work, or something you probably need. The greens are the regular craft forms, and they've got a hardened tip with a little bit of extra grip on it. It's kind of worn off, that one, a little bit, but they just hold really nicely. They don't twist out. Good quality screwdrivers, really good quality. And they've got these sides on them, so they don't roll around on your bench too much, or roll under your car in a garage or something like that. And then these ones, these are shop grades. I would say these are called chisel drives, and they are made out of a harder material. They will last longer, and they've got a face that you can hit with a hammer. Screwdrivers don't like being hit with hammers. These ones do. I think we're very aware of how mechanics can improvise a little bit, and this one is up to the job. The other nice thing on it is it's got this spanner flat on it, so if you've got a seized bolt or something that's proving difficult to come out, you can push down onto the screw and then turn the screwdriver with a spanner, and that maintains loads of force, and you can twist it so it's less likely to come undone. These are, I got these about 6 months, a year before my shop closed, so they are 4 years old. They've got grubby, the grip's starting to get a bit torn, but as you can see, the head on them is still pretty sharp. pretty precise. So yeah, you've got screwdrivers. I would say don't get a set. Perhaps if you're just doing bike stuff, just spend as much, 20-30 quid for a set of screwdrivers. Just get one Phillips 2, one PH2, and one middly sized a flat blade, and that's probably going to be like 20 quid, and they will last a lot longer. You will enjoy using them, they'll be comfortable to use, they're not going to damage anything. Where are widely available from various different people. I can get you bits. There's a place in Brighton called Brighton Tools and Fixing. They sell the individual drivers. So yeah, if you're close to there, go and pick them up from there. And the other thing you can do is take any of your fixings that you're wanting to do, if you can get them off your bike, and just take them in with you and say, look, I need a tool for this. Do you reckon this is going to work? What head do I need for this? I've got these grub screws here, look. So I could take that in my pocket, and then I can go up and ask the guys, and they'll go, yeah, you want one of these, this will do it. And it takes the guesswork out of it. You don't have to be frightened to ask people for advice. They're there to help you. And it's quite an intimidating thing to walk into, I think, like that sort of blokey tool environment. But yeah, even the saltiest old geezer in there is going to be full of knowledge, and somewhere deep down he's going to be happy to help you. So yeah, capitalise on that. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to show you in a little bit more depth how things fit and how they can work and different applications, and a little bit more of an argument of going away from the multi-tools and going to the individual keys and what they can offer. So let's go to the vise and we'll carry on. Cool, here we are then. So I'll just mock this up just to give you an idea of the different types of fixings there are. Pull stems as standard come with Torx T25 stainless steel bolts. These have just come from a box of random stuff. So, but they'll hopefully help to illustrate the point that I was making about a couple of things and make it a bit easier for you to visualize. So the first thing we just left off with screwdrivers. So I found a bigger posi headed screwdriver bit, so you can see that extra little like slot on there, and it's a lot more pronounced compared to the Phillips, which hasn't got that. And then if you have a look at it on this screw here, you can see that the screw, it does fit, but it doesn't fit that well, and the angles are all off. So it doesn't take much to twist that out, and this is what I was saying about in front radius. However, with the right screwdriver, there's no gaps there. You can't see any gap in the edge of the screw, the slot, and you can just feel that is just so much more positive because it fits properly. So there we go. That's that one out. So then the next one, we'll go back to the hex keys. So we've got the PB Swiss T-handle, which have become quite popular, I think, with pro mechanics. See a lot of them in the pro downhill mechanic toolboxes, and they've got this kind of sliding mechanism to them. So you can adjust where that sits to give you a bit more access, a bit more leverage. And then the long end just has a square ended hex key on it, as opposed to the Parks, which are ball ended. And the ball allows you to get a little bit more leverage, a little bit more access for something that's in a tricky position. So this one, got that there, you can got more of a freedom of movement with it, but you can see that isn't very snug. There's not much of the tool connecting with the bolt, and that can cause damage to the bolt when you're trying to loosen things. So I think the rule of thumb is that you use a hex key, a regular square one, to undo stuff, And then when you get to the point, like when you're just spinning something in, you can use the ball end. And then as soon as it starts nipping up, with the parks you can switch it round. And then that gets it nice and snug. There's no way of that slipping out. That's nice good fitting. Again, I'll show you on this. That's just spinning. So there we go. And then last but not least, Torx. This is that snap-on one. And the nice thing with these ones is that you get this ability to be able to spin them nice and quickly because of this weight to it there. So I think if you're progressing to the next level of servicing things regularly and doing stuff more frequently to your bike, fitting more components and things, then buying the individual keys is going to make things a bit easier because you're not farting around trying to find the right key for the right thing all the time. They're easier to use, and because they're longer, you can spin things up a bit easier, like I've just been doing there. And then you also get a lot more leverage. Got an older Park one. I've got one of those. I've got one. So there you go. That's the start of it, I guess. The kind of intermediate ones up to beginner to intermediate, I would say. Then the next phase will probably be ratchets, and ratchets are fantastic because they put a little less strain on you when you're trying to undo things, and they also give you a lot more options for if you're in a restricted space. So this is a little baby snap-on ratchet I've got here, and with this key you can only get it, it's only as long as it is, you can't make that any smaller. If the bolt is in a more concealed area, like shrouded around by a section of a frame or something like that, or on the inside of a fork leg, ratchets work really well to get into those tight gaps, mud guards, things like that. And then they also allow you to be able to just do a little bit, let's get that undone, so you don't have to turn the key at all the way around. You can just loosen it off in a small area, and that reduces the fatigue in your hand, and it will also allow you to work in closer confines. And just to get that down, and once you've got a ratchet handle, then you can buy them in sets. I'd probably go for, at the lower end, like the Halfords Professional stuff. They're very like affordable but not cheap and nasty. You can buy a set of sockets and a driver together, or you can buy them individually. So I've got sockets from various different companies, various different places. I had an 8mm socket from Park. I twisted that out undoing a SRAM dub crank bolt. As we all know, they are extremely tight, and this snap-on one has been far better, far more reliable. There's no like twisting or anything to it, as far as I can see anyway. There's maybe a slight amount. So for things like cranks and any big high value, like high torque items, having a socket to do it and a ratchet gives you that bar, more leverage. They come in a couple of different sizes. I'm just going to bring you up to the wall. I can show you this one. So that's the same thing, but just with a far longer handle on it. So for undoing bottom brackets, that works really well. And then for tightening them, you either use a smaller one or a torque wrench. Most of the time the higher value torque wrenches are 3/8 fitting, so that is, let's come back to you guys. So 1/4 inch is here. Come closer. There we go. And then 3/8. That's the next size up. And what you find is most bracket tools and cassette tools and things like that, there'll be 3/8 to fit a 3/8 torque wrench. So if you're torquing anything up, which you should be, yeah, you'll find that that's the most common fitting. We'll go on to torque wrenches another time because I think they need their own chapter. If you're ever unsure of what to do things to torque, then I would get to your bike shop and have a chat with them and see what they think, to see if they can check them. So there we go. I think that's probably, hopefully not too much of an information overload, and I covered enough to answer questions and figure a few things out. Maybe that's going to give you some food for thought if you're fancying treating yourself to some new bits and pieces, upgrading, or just starting from the beginning. Then yeah, these are going to suit you really well. I would say, kind of in summary, snap-on not essential at all. They're quite difficult to get hold of, and they do cost a lot of money. I'm a mechanic, but I'm not a car mechanic. I'm not going to be straining these. They're going to last a long time. I very much doubt I'm ever going to break a snap-on bar like this. Yeah, there's realms of kind of intended use and expected use, and I think if you stick with Park, for the most part, the quality is always going to be good. Lifetime warranty on most of their tools. You just need to contact your local bike shop and they'll figure that out for you, get things replaced or fixed or what have you. And yeah, they're reliable. They're going to last. There's a reason that you see Park Tool Blue everywhere in all bike shops, because it just works. There are other brands as well. Like I said, got Nipex. They're not a bike company, bike tool company. They're just damn good. And the same with Vera. Look those out. I'm going to put some stuff on my the full list of these as much as I can, Amazon affiliate links, so you'll be able to find those. If you can buy them through those links, then as I've said, that'll give me a bit of a kickback. Every penny helps, as they say. So let's just summarize and then I'll let you guys get on your way. So there we go. What did we do? We did screwdrivers, we did spanners, get your nip axes, Allen keys, ratchets. All these things I use in every single job that I do in the workshop. So many different things. They're worth their weight. You can't do the job without them. Go and treat yourself. Try and justify it. Try and think about how, if you look after your bike, it will look after you. If you're using cheap tools, stuff will break quicker, you'll wear things out, and you'll end up kind of causing more problems than you're trying to solve. So have a bit of foresight, think about how long these things are going to last, how long over, like a year, 5 years, 10 years, how much you're going to use them. And yeah, care for them, look after them. So I'll give you a kit list in the comments of the video. Amazon affiliate links, please click those, and then yeah, that helps me out. Anything you can't find on Amazon, yeah, go to your local bike shop. Park Tool, Abbey Tools that I talk about, where they're reasonably well distributed. A lot of bike shops will be able to source them for you. If you want me to, give me a shout, we can figure out postage. Come down, hang out, maybe have a coffee, maybe have a beer, have a natter, pick up your tools. Yeah, give us a call. So there we go. Next time, I'm not sure what I'm feeling next time. What was our headings? So we've done turning, we've got cutting, holding, hitting, inflating, bleeding, cleaning, making, bending. So yeah, let's see where we end up next. Sorry this one's been a little bit delayed. Hopefully I'll get the next one up next week, the latest. So tune in for that, and we'll probably see you for a Handbridge Cycles instalment soon as well. Look after yourself, guys. See you soon.